Welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're located. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us for another ACHS webinar. We do have a treat today in our webinar catalog, so we're going to jump right into that. But while we are waiting for the room to fill up, we'd love to hear where you're all joining us from. Um, Maybe something about yourself. Just go ahead and pop that in the chat. One thing that I will advise on is if in the chat, if you're seeing host and panelists in the little blue box, go ahead and switch that to everyone just so everybody can see your your message. And if you ask questions, then everybody can see the answer as well. And I will go ahead and get our presentation for the day shared so we can all take a look at that. Okay, panelists, can we see the presentation? Wonderful. All right, so my name is Troy Jenkins. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here at ACHS. What we do in our department is first and foremost, we're the ones that you meet first when you have questions about the school and how to become a student here. One of the things that the advisors do very well is they're so curious about each and every person and their story, how they came to be interested in holistic health and wellness, how they became interested in herbal medicine, what you're doing with your life, what you want to be doing with your life. All of that goes into what we form into a recommendation for a program. So if you're hearing from anybody from my team, that's what they're looking to do. But when we do these webinars, we try to bring something interesting to the table so you can always be learning something along the way. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to put up our table of contents here. We're going to talk about who we are as ACHS. You might have heard that before if you've joined us for other webinars. If you joined us at the beginning of May for Herb Day, you might have seen a similar panel and had an experience there learning about various herbs. We're going to kind of extend that to the next level today, which will be super exciting. So we'll get an introduction here in a minute for all of our illustrious panel today. I think the combined wisdom of our panel today is unmatched. So, and then they're going to take us through what we call herbal wisdom from ACHS experts. Um, and I'll let Judith talk a little bit more about what that means here in just a second. We will have time for questions, but we don't want you to have to wait till a specific time to ask questions. If you have a question in mind as we go through this, go ahead and pop it in the chat or the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer that along the way if we can. And then we'll have that time at the question segment to round up anything we can. So, and then if we have time at the end, we'll also touch on a little bit about some of the opportunities coming up to become a student, our summer 2 semester and our fall semester, which we're enrolling for now, a little bit of detail on how that works. So, but let's go ahead and jump into who ACHS is. If you haven't had the opportunity to join us before, ACHS has been around for over 45 years, and in the holistic health and wellness space, definitely a pioneer in this type of education and bringing it to a global audience. The goal from the very beginning has been to break down the barriers of location and allow people from all over the world to study. Even before the online option was there, we had our founder, Doreen Peterson, set up our education to be deliverable everywhere, even if it was by mail, so you could get this information. Since 2003, though, we have been accredited by the DEAC, or the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, something we're very proud of. We comply with all of the elements that they put in front of us so that we can ensure that the education you're getting meets those standards for distance education and you're getting the best education that you can get. Another thing that we're very proud of at ACHS is that we're a certified B Corp. And what that means is that beyond just the operation of our daily business, we take an interest in people and the planet, and focus a lot of our efforts on reinvesting into our community through volunteer hours. We're located all over the country ourselves, so we have an opportunity to go out into the communities and give back. But all of that kind of rolls up into a higher purpose for ACHS. And just a little bit of background, when we first started ACHS, all you could really do was a certificate program, or learning in small bites, as we call it. But since the inception of ACHS, it's grown into several more branches. We now offer a full suite of educational programs that span non-degree programs, such as certificates and diplomas, which are a great first step towards adding to the career you already have, or taking a first step towards a new career. The traditional associate, bachelor's, master's degrees that you may have already heard of, graduate certificates, another way to differentiate your master's study, and since 2023, the doctoral program. So very proud of how we've been able to grow and reach those different levels, and now even offer a terminal degree in the field. So that is a quick summary of our background. Our mission and vision is to lead the advancement of evidence-based integrative health and wellness education through experiential online learning and sustainable practices. And our vision, if we've accomplished our mission, would be that integrative health and wellness education is accessible to a global community, promoting sustainable and healthy futures for all. So that's a big mission and vision to have, but we feel like it guides what we do through each day. What I pull out from today's webinar is this experiential online learning piece. So what we're going to be hearing about today is the experience, how this information that you can learn here with us can be put into practice. So I'm excited. I've already kind of peeked ahead to what we're going to be seeing, and I'm real excited to hear how it all works. So I'm going to pass it along to Dr. Judith Thompson to introduce our panel and give us an overview of what we're going to be hearing about today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to everybody who decided to join us here today. And if you're watching this virtually after the fact, then welcome for you as well. And I'm grateful to have all of you here. There's so much that you can do with a degree in herbal medicine. The field has really opened up quite a bit to include what we originally started as a kind of a practitioner base, to formulating herbal products, to building gardens and communities, to educating children, and working in government, or, there's just so many ways that you can apply this information. And so one aspect, which I mentioned, was about, how do you use this with people directly as a practitioner of herbal medicine? How do we apply that so that we can help people feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, right? So kind of bringing in all of these different aspects of health and well-being. And so to that end, I asked our faculty to think about what were some of their favorite or interesting cases that they worked with using herbs, and how things turned out for the folks that they worked with. And so today, next slide, please. Yes, thank you. So today we're going to have a few of our doctors presenting. We've got Dr. Jacqui McGrath, who is one of our longest standing professors here at ACHS, and we're so happy to have her. She's a fan favorite here. And then Dr. Lupin Demuth, who has such extensive training in herbalism and really brings these herbs to life in these courses. So welcome, Lupin. Dr. Alison Loercher, she is our she is our representing Chinese medicine practitioner as well. And she brings these herbs into a different context that sometimes we don't always think about. But so she's, as much as we are a Western herbal medicine program here, it's important to see the other aspects in terms of how herbs are used in other parts of the world. And then we've got Dr. Lorraine Young, who is here with us today, a long-standing lover of herbs herself, and she's often working out in her garden and showing me different plants that she's caring for and tending, and telling me about the fun research that she's finding. So we have got folks here who are absolutely involved and are using herbs every day in their own lives, and helping others, and then teaching as well. So we're keeping that circle going of using these herbs and really promoting this vision that we have at ACHS of teaching and also promoting sustainability with these natural remedies that we have. And so for today, first up, we've got Dr. Jacqui McGrath, who will be presenting her case. So next slide. On brain and mood support. So Dr. McGrath, please take it away.
All right. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? I realized my little
Yes.
microphone wasn't close by. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, this was a few years ago, and it's actually a little bit of a composite. I had a couple different patients in mind, and I thought I would just bring them together because these are some of my favorite botanicals. And I won't say herbs because lion's mane is actually a medicinal mushroom. I know a lot of people listening may be new to herbalism. So the term botanicals is nice because it's inclusive of our fungi kingdom, which is really important in terms of herbal medicine as well. And one of the things on this list is not actually an herb. I will show it to you. I'm teaching flower essences this summer, so I have it very fresh in my mind. This, oh, can't really see it with these virtual backgrounds, but it's Dr. Bach's Rescue Remedy. So I will share, this is not an herbal medicine, but rather an energy medicine, but it combines really nicely with herbal medicine in certain cases, like this one. So this was a 24-year-old female who had just decided to go back to school, graduate school. She'd been in school for a couple months and was really struggling with brain fog, memory, not diagnosed depression, but definitely low mood. And she had had a car accident about 8 months prior. That was the significant change in her life because she hadn't really had any problems with memory or mood or um, cognitive function before that. She had finished her undergraduate degree and she came in to see me saying she had finished the conventional treatment. She didn't have any sequela. She didn't have any persistent issues, no headaches, but she had suffered a concussion and she suspected that she had had a brain injury that just didn't completely heal and it was affecting her. And I was in agreement. I totally agree because I've seen this again and again. And actually, if any of you listening have had something similar happen, it's pretty common. I encourage you to take brain injury seriously. Dr. Dan Siegel and Dr. Daniel Amen are two of my favorite teachers on this, on how they can affect not just our physical brain, but also our mood and, our mental, emotional, the mind-body connection is, very much together here. So she came in hoping that herbal medicine could help her get her old self back again. And so I started with a few different things. First of all, was this Dr. Bach's Rescue Remedy. I knew that she had been through a shock, like a trauma, and she may still have a bit of that residual in her. I have lived in Mexico for many years, and there's a term for it in Spanish called susto. When someone has been through something acutely stressful, sometimes it will create sort of like an emotional effect that is hard to figure out how to get rid of. And the flower essences are just a lovely kind of like a solar infusion. They don't have any pharmacological effect at all. They're the vibrational medicine of flowers. And so I gave her a dose right there in my office. I'll show you. I'll do it right now because I'm a little nervous talking in front of people. So it's one of the things you can use it for. So you can just put 4 drops or so right on your tongue or under your tongue. like that. However, the good thing about energy medicines is that you can also dilute them. And instead of making them weaker, it actually makes them stronger. So I also put some in like a little tincture bottle with water and just a tiny bit of brandy and sent her home with it and told her she could take 4 drops of that 4 times a day and do that for a week or so. So that was the first part. And that was really for the trauma residue, the shock, if there were any. Then the next thing I gave was lion's mane, which is the medicinal mushroom. And I'll tell you the truth, at the time, I gave her capsules. I didn't really know much about the different ways of extracting things, but that's something that has been on my radar much more in recent years. And in particular with a student who wrote her capstone at ACHS on lion's mane for the neurotrophic benefits. One of the things that I learned is that the dual extraction method with lion's mane can be really helpful. So in this case, if I had this patient again, instead of capsules, I would actually send her a tincture. So it's made with an alcohol to extract the alcohol soluble parts. And then the water in that mix would probably be enough to get the water soluble parts. Because with lion's mane, there's definitely immune supportive parts. But for her, I was especially looking at the Erinacea constituent, because that's the one that's been shown to be the most supportive for the nerve growth factor, for helping to really nourish the nerves and to help the brain heal from any of the residual brain injury. So I would give at this day and age, I would give a lion's mane tincture. And I found a great video. So if anyone wants to write me as a follow-up, don't hesitate. I found a great video on how to make your own. I'm a big fan with whatever you can, cultivate yourself or make yourself, especially if you're inspired. So you could cultivate your own lion's mane and make your own dual extract tincture. There's some math involved, which is not my strong suit, but it was a video that like even I could understand. She broke down like how to decide how much alcohol and how much water. So that's one of the fun things you'll learn in herb classes at ACHS as well. And thank you, Lupin, for filling in some of the important details. I know for the sake of time, I shouldn't go on forever, but I'll jump on to, you've probably all heard of St. John's wort, even if you're new to herbalism. And there's a reason for it. It really does let the light in among the different things that St. John's wort does. It's very nourishing and healing for the nervous system, and like the physical nerves, but then also for the mood. It's not for everyone though, so you have to like definitely look at what other medication someone is on or history they have. But in this woman's case, because she didn't really have any history of she wasn't on birth control pills, she wasn't on antidepressants or anything. I went with the St. John's wort as a tea and really encouraged her to enjoy drinking the tea and just connecting with the herb itself. And I showed her the flower and the doctrine of signatures with St. John's wort, which is Hypericum perforatum. It has these tiny little holes on the beautiful yellow flowers, which are up here on the slide, which let the light through. And so in her case, I was really encouraging her to like induce that placebo in addition to the real, pharmacological effect of the St. John's wort, of just imagining it, allowing her own life force to come back through. And then the third herb is Rhodiola rosea. And I have had mixed feelings about this because I love this herb more than any other. It's one of my very favorites ever. And I have become really like the no plastics queen in my house. I'm also like the don't use herbs unless they're like sustainably sourced lady. So I hadn't been promoting or using rhodiola for a long time. However, rhodiola is one of the most amazing herbs for energy, the nervous system, mood, and it's changed my life. Like think about it for like also for women in perimenopause who may have depression, mood issues. So I learned that the Sustainable Herbs Initiative is now like helping growers and helping promote cultivation of rhodiola. And I want to just like make a plug, even if you don't go to ACHS ever, to look at sourcing herbs carefully. We did a whole expo on sustainable herbalism, so you can also look for that in our webinars. But the rhodiola should be sourced from someone who not only is looking at the quality assurance, but also sustainability, because it's traditionally been wild harvested, but it's definitely been so popular it's become a little bit over harvested. So rhodiola, I'm not going to get shared doses because I'm aware of the time, but feel free to follow up with me on that. Because I think I've used my 20-minute or my 10 minutes, and we have more cases to go. So anyway, as a follow-up, this woman was so impressed with how well she felt when she came back, even for the second visit, that she was just like super excited. Like she was just like, this stuff is magic. She felt like her mood was better, but then also her brain was working better. And so it was one of the more impressive cases for me too, because it really helped me get started with my passion for mental health, mental and emotional wellness.
Well,
Okay.
Dr. Jacqui, thank you so much. I love how you brought these different aspects and these different preparations, right? Because you've got a tincture and a tea and capsules and flower essences. And so using them in their single form, right? But in different preparations. So it goes into the body in slightly different ways. So I really love that blend that you created. And I love how you brought in, with rhodiola, for example, how it's being over harvested, but people could grow their own, right? Could they grow their own rhodiola?
Well, what's one of the challenges? I'm all for growing your own when you can, but it depends on where you live. In the case of rhodiola, it likes to grow at really high altitudes or like high latitudes. And for those of us who live closer to the equator, it's just not going to happen.
Okay. Well, then looking at sustainability in companies really makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah. And looking at the Sustainable Herbs Initiative, there's a video about rhodiola. It's only like 10 minutes long. I highly recommend it.
That's great. If you can find that link, that would be fantastic to share with our crowd here.
Oh,
And
sure.
and then, well, before I send you away, just a quick question: what do you like about teaching here at ACHS, or just teaching in general?
My gosh. One of the things I love is the diversity of our students and how everyone is so kind to each other, like in our classrooms and our virtual discussions. I just love how the people who are new are so welcomed by others who may be coming back after having already been out in practice. And there's just like this nourishing cross collaboration that makes me so happy. And also just to know like everyone's coming because they want to heal and help other people. So it's a very positive environment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for sharing this case and the follow-up with her. So
One
fantastic.
more thing about rhodiola
Yes.
as a caveat. It's not for everyone. So if someone has a history of bipolar, for instance, I would be careful with that. Or like I also suspect, well, it has to do with the detoxification pathways. So with certain methylation, mutations, it may actually make someone more manic. So just watch for that.
Yeah. So that's an important piece that you bring up with understanding how herbs can interact with either conditions or with medications that people can be taking. And that's a big thing that we go over in our courses to make sure that we're using herbs safely. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacqui. Okay, and so our next case here will be presented by Dr. Lupin Demuth. And oh, is that right? Did I get that right? No, nope, sorry. Dr. Alison Loercher. So she is actually up next and talking a little bit about stress today. So take it away.
Thank you so much. So this case is a recent client that I'm still working with, but he is improving. He's a middle-aged male, 48 years old, and he has several symptoms related to stressors. He has some psychological stressors, some physical stressors. Um, a lot of it is emotional. He has a lot of feelings of grief and loss from recently losing his parents and seeing them through the end of life process. Um, his kids are teenagers, and he's looking at supporting them leaving the house, going to college. Um, and he has some loss of confidence just with his the way he feels in his body. I love talking about menopause and that experience for women, and I work with a lot of women going through that. But we can't forget uh, male-bodied folks who also experience that as well. So he's experiencing that loss of confidence. He's also this isn't in the slide, but he's a business owner. He inherited his father's business after his father recently passed away and is looking at just keeping that going, maintaining its success, using the money from that business to support his kids. There's like a lot. There's a lot going on for him. And he's just very stressed and overwhelmed. And he's very in touch with his feelings, going through, a lot. So he has this monkey mind, as he describes it. A lot of people describe it that way, that keeps him from sleeping well. It can keep him from focusing on his work during the day. And then some other health conditions or behind the scenes are recurrent rhinosinusitis and sinus infections. And he's noticed that whenever he drinks beer, he will have sinus symptoms the following day. So very, very quickly. And that's relatively recent for him. So that's an interesting part of the picture as well. He has a deviated septum, but he doesn't want the surgery. So there's, he's a complicated human like we all are, right? There's a lot of things going on. So the question really for me for him was, what can I what can I recommend that's going to be most impactful for him so that he can start feeling more confident, reduce that monkey mind, work through his feelings of grief and loss of his parents and supporting his kids just a little bit more easily. Sort of a tall order there, but my question was, what can I do to support him? And for the first step for all of us probably, but the first step for me is really identifying the systems, whether that, like Dr. Thompson mentioned, I practice traditional Chinese herbal medicine, like looking at the diagnostic systems there that are impacted, whether they be from Chinese medicine or biomedicine. And so I was really thinking about his respiratory system, his nervous system, and his liver and gastrointestinal system. In Chinese herbal medicine and in many traditions of herbal medicine, really, the gastrointestinal and the respiratory systems are connected. When you study herbs, you'll see that many, many of them influence both systems. And so, I started asking questions about his appetite and his digestion, and he does tend to get loose stool. And this, this drinking beer preceding a sinus infection is really interesting because there's that question for me too. Is it the beer? Is it the alcohol in the beer that's irritating his liver? Is it just the heaviness of the beer that's irritating his digestion and then triggering some kind of inflammatory process for the respiratory system? Is it both of those things? Is it that, the relaxing effects of the hops in the beer are, relaxing his nervous system and then his immune system is reacting? There's a lot that could be going on. So we're still figuring it out and we might never know the complete answer. My clinic is not a chemistry lab. It's somewhere where we're trying to help people. So I really just wanted to help reduce the effects of stress. And number one was improving sleep. If this person can, improve his sleep, reduce that monkey mind at night, it's likely he'll be more successful during the day, focusing on his work, being able to think through the problems that he'll encounter with his kids, choosing colleges and whatnot. And then secondarily, I wanted to support his liver, the lungs, the digestive, and the nervous system. And so the classification of herbs that came to mind for me was adaptogenic herbs. I wanted something that he could take during the day, not just at night, but during the day, that would reduce that tendency to overthink, help ease those feelings of grief without suppressing them, improve that sense of confidence, but also help him relax enough to sleep at night. So I chose this, it's a capsule, and it's a blend of herbs that is adaptogenic and is really supportive and has some nervine effects, but not sedative effects. So like Dr. McGrath just talked about, one of the main herbs in there is rhodiola, which is an adaptogenic herb. Funny that we're both talking about it. That is great for so many different things, but just, baseline improving his response to stress. Next there is holy basil. I love that holy basil is in there because it's another adaptogenic herb. It's also beneficial for the immune system, so it might help over time reduce those sinusitis, that recurrent sinusitis. But also, you can see it as a picture there on the bottom right. It has an energetic signature for the liver. We use the leaf of holy basil, and anything that has that movement, like up and out, especially leafy greens of any sort and leafy herbs, will energetically help the liver move. And in Chinese medicine, we might say that this person has liver qi stagnation. So I was really happy that that was in there. The next herb is Schizandra chinesis, which is also called the 5-flavor berry. The predominant flavor, though, of Schizandra is sour. It's very, very sour, and it's not unpleasantly sour unless you hate sour things. But that sour flavor is a contracting flavor. It's a bit of an astringent flavor, and it can sort of rein in, like energetically rein in the tendency to overthink, especially at night. And it's another adaptogenic herb, so will also improve the response to stress, but it's really often used for insomnia, but without being sedative. It supports the ability to sleep by like consolidating the energy, by like reducing the number and the excessiveness of thoughts, but doesn't just like, conk somebody out. Next, we have ashwagandha, which is an herb from the Ayurvedic tradition, which is another adaptogenic herb. And one of the things that I love about ashwagandha is that it tends to do what somebody needs it to do. So it can be a sedative herb. It can also be an energy replenishing herb. So there's just a little bit of it in this formula to, again, like include some adaptogenic support sleep, but also support like energy production to give this person their confidence back. There's also some really interesting research on ashwagandha about how it may, in some doses, improve testosterone levels. And granted, I don't have labs on this person, but given his age and this like loss of confidence in his physicality that he is talking about, I wonder if that might be the case. So after I work with him for a little bit, we might send him for some lab work with his primary care. And then the very last herb is milky oats. And this is the same oat that you might, use for oatmeal, but it's a different part. It's the fresh milky part of the grain as it's forming there. And it is it has a bit of a sedative effect, but there's just a little bit in this formula, and again, it's not a very heavy sedative effect. It's more of a relaxant effect. And as a grain, it is also very nourishing. So I loved this formula for him because it was something that he could take, during the day to just reduce that tendency to overthink, to help him get through his work and family stressors, and then also improve sleep at night. So between this and some acupuncture, which I also help him with, and some counseling, he's doing a bit better. His sleep is definitely improving. He did recently get another sinus infection right after some beer. So we're working with that. Um, and I think I'm seeing him either today or tomorrow. So follow up and I'll tell you how he's doing. But so far, the sleep and the monkey mind and those feelings of grief and the loss of confidence is starting to improve. You know, I haven't been able to remove any of his stressors. He can't remove any of his stressors, but he's getting through it a bit more easily. So, um, yeah, I'd love to, I'm happy to answer any questions about this case or the herbs or anything at all.
Thank
Yeah. Oh, I see one in the chat. The flowering tops. Yep, it's the flowering tops. Yeah. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you for sharing this case with us, Dr. Loercher. This is such a beautiful blend of herbs that are energizing, but calming and soothing. And, I love that you mentioned that some herbs were being used more for their nervine as opposed to their sedative capacities. And that's something that we, talk about in the herbal courses because depending on what somebody needs, maybe a sedating or a sedative type of herb would be helpful. In other cases, you don't want to be sleeping in the middle of the day, but you want to be able to calm your thoughts, right? And so it's these subtle shifts in knowing how to work with these herbs at different times of the days or amounts, right? Another nice thing that you pointed out too. So it sounds like he's got some good support moving forward here. Thanks for sharing. And just one, I don't know, something that you enjoy about teaching here at ACHS or in general that you.
Yeah. I've been teaching for over maybe 12, 15 years now, and I've always loved it, but I especially love teaching at ACHS because it is a very supportive environment. I found the admin folks, the admissions folks, the support teams, the deans, everybody really, really supportive for both the students and myself. And that really leads to a positive learning environment, I think, for the students. And it really allows me to do my best work. When I can answer questions about herbal medicine or about cases or about practice, and know that there's a really wonderful, solid organizational structure behind me supporting, the students getting through their course load with their financial aid, with any other kind of outside support they might need. It really does make a world of difference. So, I love teaching. I love the excitement that comes in the classroom. I love teaching about herbs. Because the folks who come to this field have such a love and passion for it. And I do really love the structure at ACHS. I think it's a great environment. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, all right. And so up next, and if anyone has questions for Dr. Loercher, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and she'll respond to you there. Up next, for our next case, we have got a case on cardiovascular support, I believe.
Real quick before we switch slides, we did have one question come in the Q&A. Do you consider analytes as an indication of improvement?
Let's see, I did not see that one.
It's over in the Q&A rather than the chat. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But
Oh, if you can put it in the chat, then I think Dr. Loercher can respond there, so we can, so we can keep our cases going here. All right, so next, our cardiovascular support. This is going to be presented by Dr. Lupin Demuth.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I chose this case because unfortunately, heart disease is the #1 killer around the world. And it's really, I think, one of the most common reasons people seek care. And we see it a lot in primary care. And even when I was before medical school, when I was practicing as an herbalist, I worked with a lot of folks that were looking for support of their cardiovascular system. And I also chose it because I'm a huge proponent of keeping things simple and uh, empowering my patients and my clients before I was a doctor to make their own medicine, to be a part of the medicine, and um, to really connect with the plants that are part of their healing journey. So this particular case is a 41-year-old female complaining of occasional elevated blood pressure. So this is kind of our bread and butter as herbalists, where maybe their doctors are telling them, hey, your readings are a little elevated. It's important for you to start thinking about making diet and lifestyle changes, because if otherwise we'll have to start you on medication. So this is an opportunity, the golden opportunity for us to intervene, right? And before folks get on those medications, because as my colleagues have mentioned, once people are on medications, bringing in herbs can have interactions, right? It can get more complicated for us to work with them. And so helping folks that have a family history of cardiovascular disease, maybe their mom or dad have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, but they haven't yet gotten there. This is our wonderful opportunity to get them kind of on another trajectory. So what we decided to do for this particular client is one of my favorite herbs to talk about. I know you're not supposed to play favorites, but if I was deserted on an island, I would want to make sure I had hawthorn with me. Crataegus monogyna is one of the most common species, but Crataegus as a genus, a plant genus, there are over 280 different species around the world. And the awesome thing is that most of them have been studied and shown to have very similar chemicals or constituents and actions in the body. So I love that this is an example of nature kind of giving humans the solution to our number one health problem, right? So there's Crataegus species that are native on in North America, in every major continent. And so I love connecting people to their native Crataegus as well. But in this case, one of the European species that was brought to North America is very popular, and you'll find it in many places around the United States, is Crataegus monogyna. And a cordial is kind of an old term, but it's a combination of low percentage of alcohol, water, heat, and honey or some sort of sweetener. And so it's a nicer, kind of tastier way of getting people to take their medicine, to take their herbs. And you think about it like a sipping cordial. People used to put them in sniftas and be really have their nightly cordials. And so this is a really fun way for people to incorporate a almost food grade herb like hawthorn. It's in the rose family or the apple family. And I encourage my patients, and in this case, I encourage them to take at least a teaspoon of the cordial every night. And so you can incorporate it into your nightly tea or your nightly cocktails or even your iced drinks. A lot of folks now are doing golden milk, and so you can add the hawthorn cordial to your golden milk. So finding ways for people to build it into their daily routines. Next up, I am a huge fan of garlic and trying to help problem solve with folks how to eat it as fresh as possible with the least amount of cooking so that you get the most therapeutic benefit. But Allium sativum has been shown in a lot of studies across a lot of clinical trials to significantly lower blood pressure. So if we can get people eating more garlic or even taking garlic capsules, if they're just really not a fan, it can really help to lower blood pressure. And I'm a huge fan of food as medicine. So I try to give, and what that means to me is not just saying eat better, but here are some foods that will also help with the symptoms that you're having, that you're talking about, or the health goals that you're trying to achieve, here are some specific foods that you can eat more of. And I really love that many of our herbs are also common foods like garlic. And then my last recommendation is something that's called fire cider. Some of you may have seen that. It's a fairly popular, you might have seen it at your natural health food stores. It's a traditional folk remedy that is made with not apple cider, but apple cider vinegar. So it's a vinegar based with honey and fresh produce that is medicinal, so has medicinal properties. And it's got the name fire because you tend to put some spicy ingredients in there. Like there's different recipes out there, but I always put cayenne peppers. You can put other chili peppers. You can leave the peppers out if you're really sensitive to super spicy things. It has horseradish, garlic, onions, and then it's got some citrus in there, so lemon juice. It's just a 1-2 punch of really stimulating to our circulation herbs and food grade. What I like is that it's grocery aisle medicine. So fire cider, I like to recommend it, give folks my fire cider that I make every year, but I also like to give them the recipe and encourage them to make their own fire cider at home. And this is part of that empowerment. So having a recipe that is really great for their health, but also something that they can go to the grocery store, find all the ingredients and make themselves at home. And that's really important for my practice as well. So yeah, this was, and the simplicity of this is what I really like about this and why I chose this case. So I'll stop there.
Gosh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lupin. This is such a great formula, and you gave me a great idea about having that cordial of that Crataegus. That sounds really nice for an after dinner little beverage, right?
Yeah.
Also seen Crataegus made as a preserves, and so like they'll put them on toast. So you really
Yeah, that's really yummy. And so just to be clear, there's berries and then there's also the leaves and flowers of Crataegus. So when I'm talking about the cordial, I work with the fresh berries and I heat them and I mash them up with a potato masher. And in my class, I share my recipe for my Hawthorn cordial with the class. And but there's lots of variations on how to make a cordial. And but yeah, it's a great way. And I love the preserves as well because it's almost like a medicinal jam. If you're gonna eat jam anyway, might as well get a little bit of heart benefit from it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love Dr. Lupin's courses where she'll do a Zoom and she's got everything on the table with all her supplies and the herbs, and it's a whole chemistry kit and apothecary shop right there in front of you, and she is giving the full display. So so Dr. Lupin, what's your favorite part about teaching or teaching at ACHS?
Yeah, that actually leads perfectly into what I was going to say, which is I do love the hands-on aspects of the herb program, especially that, the students get sent high quality herb samples and that we're able, not only are they able to interact with the herbs, but the assignments encourage them to prepare make herbal preparations, to get feedback from me on those herbal preparations. I do live demonstrations, but I also love that at ACHS, the students are coming from all over the country and in some cases, other parts of the world. That really brings this eclectic perspective on herbs. And I learn about regional herbs that I may not be working with from my students. And in our discussions, it's really interactive. And that part really is exciting and keeps me teaching here. So yeah. That's what I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lupin. And any questions for her can go into the chat so we can keep our cases moving forward. Next up, we've got case number 4. This is going to be presented by Dr. Lorraine Young, who is going to be talking about fingernails today. So Dr. Young, take it away.
Control your excitement. I get it. It's fingernails. It may not be the most glamorous thing that you might think about, but they're so fascinating and interesting. Anyways, this gentleman came into me, um, and just to give you a little background of my training, so I got my naturopathic medicine doctorate in Canada. So when you do that, we automatically get traditional Chinese medicine as well. So while I'm learning Western herbalism, I'm also learning traditional Chinese medicine. So for me, I'm always blending the Eastern way of thinking and theory and philosophy into the Western herbal ways of thinking as well. So it really gives me a unique perspective that I'm so thankful for. So this gentleman came in, he was a factory worker for years. And so he was exposed to chemicals and such. And just, that's what he did. 9 to 5 every day, factory worker sort of thing. But probably 15 years prior to seeing to me for most of his life, he had these spots on his fingernails, and it basically was like there was some pitting, there was some discoloration, there was thickening as well, and then there was some onychomycosis, which basically means it's not fungus, but if you've ever caught your fingernail in something and it pulls up, and then that part of your fingernail looks like the end of your nail, like it's like more of a white color. It's like that. It's almost like his nails were getting like leaving the skin or the tissue deep into the nail bed. And so he had been to see a number of practitioners and that sort of stuff. And I'm like, it really looks like psoriasis of your fingernails to me. No skin condition with it. Like there was nothing related to that. But as we chatted further and I learned more about his diet and some lifestyle factors, I was like, okay, we need to like work on some foundations. He'd been tested for fungal of the nails. He'd been treated for fungal infections, zero results. He's like, there's nothing I can do about this. But it was every one of his fingernails. And for him, like here I am talking to you using my hands, you can become really conscious about that. So the first thing that I did is think about, okay, so we talked about diet and we made some changes in there, but looking at it from a few different perspectives, I thought about, okay, here's the fingernails. To me, this relates to more of a blood issue with regards to TCM and the way that his liver functions. So I'm already thinking that in my mind. But from a Western standpoint, I'm also going, okay, what about lymphatics as well too? And how do I open up this gentleman's emunctories, right? And emunctories are a fancy term to say, how do we kind of open up the gates to allow efficient movement of detoxification, to allow good nutrients to come in and also the metabolites to go out, right? So the waste products. So we talked about his diet and stuff, but I was really like, I need some additional things because this has been going on for extended period of time for him to kind of move this along a little bit more. So I ended up, what I have is I had tinctures in my supplement room, and what I do with clients is I go in, this was my office in Canada at the time, and I would read the case or whatever, and then I'd be in there going, okay, this is the herbs that I love, and you kind of get a sense for them, and the blend comes together for you. And so for him, I chose Yellow Dot, Golden Seal, and Cleavers. And so with regards to the reason and my rationale, from Western philosophy, if we look at this, I'm thinking about it from there's maybe some chronic low grade inflammation that's going on. His diet was not fantastic. Potentially, there's probably some toxicity happening here. And also, what may be happening with that immune system, right? Like if we think about psoriasis, there could be a link with autoimmunity and that sort of thing as well. So this is why I chose this blend. I wanted to kind of get it from multiple pathways, but allow the three herbs to work synergistically and support each other. So the yellow dock and the golden seal were used to kind of enhance his phase 1 and phase 2 of his liver detox. I used the golden seal mainly to also help with the GI function. So if there was any chance per se, we could go get stool analysis done and all that fancy testing. But sometimes the beauty of herbs is that they go in there and they're just like, let me come in here and balance this up for you and really not cause a lot of havoc. And that's one beautiful thing that golden seal does. And so that was to balance up the gut microbiome a bit more for him, to regulate if there was some dysbiosis happening. And then also all three of them were to also mediate any kind of inflammation. And gallium apirin, one of my favorites. I love cleavers. In fact, I have it in a tea and I'm drinking it through, a few times a week just for my own support. But I wanted the gallium apirin in there and the cleavers to really just move that lymphatics a little bit more and the circulation. Because when we think like these are our fingertips, right? It's a really contained area. So we want to make sure we're enhancing that circulation and moving that lymph well. So basically for him, I was looking at a gut, liver, lymphatic approach. And I looked at it from a Western herbalism standpoint. I took in some traditional Chinese medical aspects in there too. And honestly, within 2 weeks, and nails are tough, right? Because if you don't have good, fast growing nails, it could take months. But he started to notice immediate changes at the bottom of the cuticle. And when he came in after a month, he was like, I'm telling all my friends, I don't know what you did, but whatever you're doing, and I know you're making me do it because I'm just the messenger. But his nails completely changed and were clear. And, we only used the tincture for a period of time. It was to kind of facilitate what we were doing, but he had amazing results. Felt great. 5 years later, he comes back in and he's struggling with it again. So we had to clean up the diet again a little bit. We threw in the tincture again and just kind of reset where we needed to be. But I say it because the beauty of herbs is they're so multifunctional and they can do so many things, and they have so many constituents that we may not even know. We know a lot about them, but the way that they work together to help correct an imbalance in the body is absolutely fascinating. And sometimes looking at not only just the chemical components, but the traditional use and the lineage that's been passed down as well, and how we can blend all of those components together. So even when you have a tough case like fingernails, you can use some herbs to kind of bump it along a little bit more.
Such a great case. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was a tough one. You had to think through, how am I going to address fingernails, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that brings in just those beautiful aspects of formulating and thinking about how does the body work, like really understanding physiology. What's the normal process and how can we support that with herbs, right? And with good diet and with good lifestyle habits that are supportive for health. So, thank you for sharing. And then just one quick tidbit. What do you enjoy about teaching?
So multiple things. I mean, one thing I think I love, I graduated over 25 years ago, and I want to pass on the knowledge and the vitalistic approach and holistic approach that I learned from all of my elders that I was so grateful to learn from. So I want to pass that on to as many people as I can. With ACHS, there's a number of different reasons why I love being here and why I am here, because I've only been here a short amount of time. But one of those reasons is the commitment to sustainability. So even if you look at my case, I have a herb in there, golden seal, that is not in danger, but more of a threatened species in the wild. However, it's cultivated by some really reputable companies that, they cultivated their own. They're not using the wild supply sort of thing. So you can use some of these herbs within a, considerable amount by a sustainable grower as well. So I love that ACHS is promoting that, because we have to consider that and look at our climate factors. I think the other thing too, when I'm digging into the courses and teaching them to kind of follow on Lupin's coattails of, like, you get to do labs, you get to like have multiple discussions about philosophy within the discussions, and then, science based. So for me, when I'm reading my students' labs, when they're talking about herbs, I'm like, so what did you think? What did it smell like? Did it remind you of something like, from childhood, or that someone in your family taught you about a herb? And I'm always like, tell me your reflections on it, because it's the way it tastes, the smell, the feel. Now, think about how you could put that in a blend for somebody that, is really going to bring that synergism together. And I feel ACHS does a beautiful job of that, because it's not just sitting in book learning, it's hands-on, it's discussion, and we learn from all of our senses, not just one of them. So I really love that way that they do that.
Gosh, thank you so much for sharing. For those of you who are still here, can we give a big round of applause to all of our faculty? I mean, they've done such an amazing job sharing their cases, and they go through this in all of our courses. I just thank you, each of you, for presenting today and giving us a taste of what it's like to use herbs in practice, and the challenging and beautiful aspects of it. And then, Troy, did you want to wrap up with any other
Well,
points?
I just want to say that I'm blown away. This has been so interesting to listen in on, and there have been several things that um, I kind of wish that I had known about before. Some medications came into my life, and this is so enlightening, and I think it really paints the picture of the experiential learning that we try to put into everything we do, and how lucky we are to have such experts on our staff and faculty to lead us. So I get to see behind the curtain a lot of times, and I know how much work goes into planning out all of our courses and making them not only book learning, but also like the experiential part that you can really put your hands on even in a remote environment and online classes. So thank you so much for illustrating how that looks and how you all practice that. So um, it looks like we've been answering questions along the way. So thank you, panel, for holding on to that. If we did miss anything, feel free to reach out to us. Um, and if it also looks like I see some familiar names. I know we have some current students that are online with us, maybe looking at their next step. And I also see some names of folks that I know we're working with in admissions. So if this is something that has inspired you to move into the educational realm, to start learning it yourself, we can help you with that. We do have a couple of semesters starting up soon. Our summer 2 session starts on June 26th. So we have about a month left to get that done. That's plenty of time if you're looking to do that. Summer 2 is an accelerated term. So what that kind of means is you don't have to wait until fall when everybody's trying to get in. You can jump in a little bit early, take a couple of courses, full 15 weeks worth of material in a shorter amount of time. So they're kind of intense, but you get that immersion right away. Or if that's not your cup of tea, then we do have our fall semester starting on September 2nd. So we're working with students right now for both of those. And our admissions advisors can help talk with you about what might be the best one to choose. If you know right now you want to go ahead and move into the application process, it's free. There's no obligation to apply, but that gives us a deeper understanding of you and your story, what you're trying to accomplish. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and do that. Any of our pages on our website have a little apply now button at the top. That's where you would go. So, and just a quick highlight, in the summer 2 semester that we have coming up, we don't offer a ton of courses in our accelerated semesters, but these are the herb courses that we are offering on the undergraduate and graduate level. We'll send out this presentation later to everyone, and those have links that you can follow to get more information on those courses, and we'd be happy to help you with that as well. So this is our team. If you're working with any of them right now, you probably have their information, but if not, you can go to that link right there. You can schedule a meeting with any of them on their calendar. Just know that we're about to hit the Memorial Day weekend, so we might not be available on Monday. But thank you so much for all of the time today. It's been enlightening. I want to go back and try some of this stuff, but I'm a little bit nervous, so I might even ask y'all some questions as well about what kind of care should I take before trying this. So I guess one last thing I want to put in there. It's so interesting and cool to me that you all take the time to think about the whole person, and it's evident in how you approach your work with these cases. instead of just, here, put some cream on it, or here, take this pill, that you're thinking about the different mechanisms and the different inputs that might have led to these problems that they're having. I think that's very admirable and something that we need more of. So thank you, panel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll be in touch soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.